Come on, relax and just enjoy the show. We got you here on Straight Talk. Don't be lying, yes, you already know. We got you here on Straight Talk, yeah. We got you grooving. Let us know how you doing. We keep it live right here on Straight Talk with Riccardo Montgomery.
Welcome to the Straight Talk with your boy Riccardo Montgomery, aka the voice of the gospel community. Hanging out with you on this day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. It's Mother's Day weekend. I hope you all are out there just, doing your last minute shopping like me, waiting to the last minute to send something off to your mom. But a lot of y'all got y'all stuff together, for your wives and your, mother figures and all this stuff. So I appreciate you all, man. Don't be like me, waiting to the last minute. But I got a great show lined up for y'all today. We're going to have as my guest host, Pastor Charles Stephenson Jr. of the Powerhouse Ministries in Marshall, Missouri. He's doing a lot of great things over there in the mid-Missouri area, so we can't wait to hear from him. Now, our subject today, we're going to talk about seasons, and God places us in different seasons in our lives. Like the farmer, sometimes you got to, this time to, work, put the seed in the ground, and then wait on it to grow, but it takes a lot of work in between watching that thing grow just so you can get to your harvest. And Pastor Stephenson and I, we will discuss the seasons in life. And sometimes God places us in different seasons, and sometimes we think, oh, we should be in this season, but we're really in a different season in time. And to understand what God has called us to do, a lot of times we don't get that understanding of where God is placing us in certain seasons of life. And so I just want to help you all, kind of break down those different things. And Pastor Stephenson is going to join us in a little bit to help us break those things down, man. He got some great words. I believe he's going to have some great words for you today. Now, also, we're going to talk to the mothers, man. I'm going to tell y'all a little something that I have, a little commentary about mothers and how important this day is. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Straight Talk. We're going to come up with it, and we're going to enjoy ourselves today. So right now, we're going to take it right on over to Pastor Stephenson, who's waiting on us right now. Joining me today is Pastor Charles Stephenson Jr., the senior pastor at Powerhouse Ministries. Welcome to Straight Talk, Pastor. How you doing today?
Man, we were feeling great this morning. Excited to be on your show again.
Hey, it's an awesome time whenever we can get you on the show. Because I know you just stacked with knowledge. And then the topic that we're talking about, which is seasons, it was so funny when I mentioned it to you. It was like, I just preached on that.
Yeah, man. I said, wow, must be a confirmation of God that we need to talk about seasons because they're so pertinent in our lives, and so many people see them in so many different ways. And so definitely think it's something in this time period we're in that needs to be discussed more and more.
It does. I mean, because right now we're getting ready to celebrate Mother's Day, and
Yes.
I know like the people are excited right now to be able to say, hey, go out and celebrate with mom. But then there's a lot of other things that do go on. I mean, like not, you know, to, not to, blow over Mother's Day, but a lot of times we have these spiritual seasons that we just don't really understand. And, the importance of them because sometimes you're in a sowing season, which is, if you use farmer's term, it's time to plant. It's time for you to get out and network. It's time for you to do the work process, feed the soil and do all those things. Then there's a harvest time of your season. But there's also just that patience time where you done did the work and you just gotta wait. And a lot of times we get frustrated in the waiting.
Yes, sir. We call that a season of expectation. Yes, sir. And Ricardo, one of the biggest challenges that I've seen uh, is proper man is that we our seasons are earmarked differently or talked about, discussed differently than God. We see signs in the scripture says there's a time and season for there is a season and a time for all things. But what we need to understand is that the time is what we do. God has no time. He's timeless. He lives outside of time. He created time. And so for whatever reason, as man always put a time to season. And God doesn't operate by time. God's season is not earmarked by time because he has no times. God's seasons are earmarked by events and occurrences. So it's the occurrences and events in our lives that should propel us to know that there's time. This is a season of change. And so season is really about periods or intervals of change. And so we earmarks everything by time. And so when the time elapsed for what we think is enough time, we should be moving into another season, and it doesn't happen, then we become discouraged. We become frustrated, want to quit, give up, find a shortcut. And instead of waiting on God, because again, God does not operate with time. God operates with occurrences and with events.
Yeah, and I think that's super important because a lot of times we do look at time, and then that sometimes our time, which is of course you hear this a lot, is not God's time.
It's not.
But that's the great thing about having leaders like yourself. I mean, to remind you of these things. A lot of times we don't be reminded of these seasonal journeys. Now we're reminded of, there's a season for, a job, or there's a season for, this or that. But your personal time with God, there's also seasons for that too, right?
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. You see, I think we forget that we were created by God instead of He. We act like we just allowed Him into our lives, but we were created by Him. So therefore, we were created with purpose. God does nothing without purpose or significance, and so we were created for purpose. And if you look at in Genesis, the first thing God told him after He showed him everything and gave him dominion, He said, "Go forth and subdue it." You've got a purpose. You've got a task, an assignment to do. And even Jesus says, "I am the tree. You are the branch. I'm the vine. You are the branch." And any tree that doesn't produce, branch that doesn't produce, He's going to prune it. And so everything with God is about purpose and production. Sometimes we'll have say, for example, we use the farmer analogy. You have 100 acres, and then God bless you with 1,000 acres. On people looking from the outside, it looks like, man, that guy's really blessed. He's living it up, man. He's got it going on. But what they don't realize, God don't look at the things the same way we look at them. If you had 100 acres and now you got 1,000 acres, God is entrusting you to do more work. He's entrusting you with more responsibility. And so we don't look at it that way. We look at from another aspect. And same thing with seasons. We look at them differently. When I think about seasons, I gave us a lot of thought because there's so many things in seasons. In seasons, you see change. Seasons are earmarked by change. There are things we have no control over seasons actually in our lives. Just like we have no control of winter, summer, spring, and fall. We have a time period we say it's going to happen, but it never happens. Sometimes it says this is the first day of spring, and we still got it's snowing, man. We have no control over that. So we have no control over seasons. But what we do have control over is what we do in that season, and understanding the season God has us in and working in that season will determine our actions and our success in that season. So I like to talk about three seasons as I teach it. I teach the seasons of lack, the seasons of essential, and the season of excess. In the seasons of lack is when you don't have enough. You don't have enough things. You want to do some things. God has put this vision in you, giving you direction of what you need to do, but you do not have the skills or the resources to do the things that God has for you to do. But you have to begin to move like you do because we walk by faith, not by sight. And as you begin to plant, and that's the sowing season, and begin to operate, you operate in expectation. As you said, that period of waiting. You're waiting on the move or the occurrence or event of God, which we sometimes call a miracle or a blessing. And so I speak of it like this because a lot of time we think the blessing that God give us is the finished product, but it's not. God always gives us seed because there's a function for us. And so it's too many people, what happens when God blesses us with something, we think it's it, man, and we're supposed to enjoy. When in reality, God is wanting us to plant that thing, put that thing that He gave us to work so that it produce. And see, it's the production, it's the access. And so we move from lack to essential, having, I call it the season of just enough. I don't know if you've been there. I've been in a time in my life when I could not pay my bills. I needed help. But then I had to seize my life when I just made up there just in time to pay my light bill, just in time to provide whatever it is God was trying to do in my life. Just in time, we got enough food to feed the people. But then there's that season of more than enough, where God has truly given us abundance. In those first two seasons, they're earmarked by hope and faith. You don't have any, you can't see it. So you're hoping, but you're living in expectation. But in the season of promise, in the season of due season, is when we see the season of more than enough and we see manifestation. And that is the season where we have to learn to trust God with what he gave us. And so many times you see people not understanding the season they're operating and living in. I always tell people the word provide means that's something God will do. If he gives you the plan, he's going to give you, if he gives you the vision, he's going to give you the provision. And sometimes we don't think about what God is doing because we're locked in our mind with the timetable that we've established.
Ooh-wee. I
I
know
threw a lot
y'all
at
sitting
you,
there,
man.
man, watching this show. He just gave y'all a whole lot. So what we gonna do and let y'all just take some of that in. Take some of that in. And we'll be right back with more Straight Talk with Pastor, my guest host today, Pastor Charles Stephenson Jr. out of
He's so glad to be
Powerhouse
here, man.
Ministries over there in my old home place, Columbia, Missouri. You moved to Columbia,
Yes,
but we'll
sir.
talk about that a little later. And man, I tell y'all, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back so we can get more of what Pastor had to say about these seasons and help us understand these seasons of life that God places us in. We'll be right back. Straight Talk with Riccardo Montgomery is taking 2022 by storm. That's what makes this show great, because we talk about what's real. Straight Talk is not afraid to take it to the next level by questioning everything in the Bible.
It's a very interesting question, and let me explain it to you this way.
With church leaders.
Preach reconnecting people to Christ.
Discussing real topics that we face daily.
You can't do that without asking a hard-hitting question, right?
You're right, fam. Give your faith walk a boost each Saturday at 6 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Awesome program.
For the Straight Talk with Riccardo Montgomery. You're listening to Straight Talk with your boy, Riccardo Montgomery. Don't worry. You ain't missed nothing. You just in a commercial break. We'll be right back with more Straight Talk in a minute. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center provides an environment that empowers all young minds to learn, grow, and develop while being in a nurturing environment. Needs 2 have children starting from the age of 6 weeks to 5 years old. First Start Academy also offers an after-school program from ages 6 to 12 years old. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center supports, celebrates, and values each family served and will always be committed to creating lifelong learners to discover their talents and abilities. If affordable, nurturing child care is what you desire, contact one of our locations today. Call First Start Academy at 601-544-6443 or call Needs 2 Child Care Center at 601-582-2727. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center, a nurturing environment, empowering young minds.
Do you need embroidered and screen printed apparel for your company? How about a promotional product to help promote your business? Are you looking for a banner for a corporate event? Caps Etc. has it all. Caps Etc. has been serving the Omaha area for over 20 years. Located in Millard for over 10 years, Caps Etc. is family owned and can handle all your business embroidered and promotional product needs. Bring your design to 4871 South 136th Street or call 402-614-3883 and add your logo on a quality item that will set your business above the rest, only at Caps Etc.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about Mother's Day And I got one mother right here hanging out with us. So tell us about the meaning of Mother's Day to you. What does it mean to you?
Love. And love for our children. And love helps them to be strong and to live and to show love from day of conception to day of death. Love covers a multitude of faults. Whether the child is bad or good, we still love them because that's a mother's love. Love that child all the way to kingdom. God gave them to us, whether single or married. We love our children. And the mother's love can't beat a mother's love. My mother loved us whether we were good or bad, ugly or not. We brought on some of the worst pictures we wrote in school. We still love them pictures. We hung them on the refrigerator. Can't nobody love you like mother. Fall down, skin your knee up, mother love you. She wipe you off, put on her knee, rock you to sleep. Nothing like mother's love. God so loved the world, he gave mothers. That we, and remember young people, honor thy father and thy mother. Thy days may be long on the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Nothing like mother's love. She love you always. Be strong and love your mothers today. And this is Mother's Day. Bless you in Jesus' name.
Amen. That's all I can say, because she just said everything I said just a minute ago. Ain't nothing like mama, because mama gonna love you through it all.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Whether you good, bad, ugly, she gonna give you that word too. You got one that's in that word, she gonna lay it down. Whether you're on the mountaintop,
that's right,
or you're in your valley.
That's right.
Amen.
That mama ain't nothing. She'll leave the light on.
Wow, what a blessing to have. Some of the things that she said, man, it reminds me of my mother, who always kept that word in me. My grandmother always kept that word in me. I like to tell the story of how my grandmother liked to, I had my old cousins, we used to all go to church together. I got a whole bunch of cousins. But during the time that I was growing up, it was about 12 of us or 13 of us, and we all went to the same church. And I was the only one the girl made sit next to her. Nothing like to brag about, but she always had me sitting next to her. And everybody else used to sit in the balcony at the church and just kind of do their thing. And they're not like they was acting up or nothing. They was just, still in church. But I had to sit next to grandma. And then she would always stay on top of me about everything, get me into junior deacons and all the programs, and I think all of us got baptized at the same time. So I can only imagine the pain that pastor felt baptizing all those Montgomerys at that time. But I thank God for her, and I thank God for my mom, who always, no matter what moment in life I was in, when I was younger and started my career in television, and I was just enjoying life in my hometown and riding around in a company car, and everybody in the neighborhood knows who I am, and all surprised, and I'm getting all this credit that I never received before. But my mom always reminded me that, baby, keep God and thank God for all that you have been given. Do not think it's all you. You didn't do anything. This is all blessings from the Lord. The talents that you do have is a gift from God. Do not ever undermine what God has blessed you with. And during the times, I didn't pay attention then, I'll be honest, but during the times where life got rough, I'm calling on Jesus all the time, and I'm calling her, and I'm like, Mom, you got to pray for me, whatever. And I got to figure this out, and I got to figure it out. She said, remember back when you was high on your horse and your nose was wide open, as they like to say down south, your nose wide open? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, remember I told you that, give God credit? He said, that's why you gave God credit, because whether you're up or down, he's still going to provide for you. So, son, you can think all you want to think, do all you want to do, but God is going to be the one that's going to figure it out for you. And you got to let that thing go and give it over to God. And it took a long time because, I'm like, I don't want to hear all that because I'm a young knucklehead. But as I got older, he revealed himself to me. And now, at this time in my life, I understand that you have to give it over to God. Things you can't control, give it over to God. So I think that woman, man, she just blessed my soul today. And I hope that she blesses some of you all too with those words. And we'll be right back with more Straight Talk right after these words from our sponsors. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center provides an environment that empowers all young minds to learn, grow, and develop while being in a nurturing environment. Needs 2 have children starting from the age of 6 weeks to 5 years old. First Start Academy also offers an after-school program from ages 6 to 12 years old. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center supports, celebrates, and values each family served and will always be committed to creating lifelong learners to discover their talents and abilities. If affordable, nurturing child care is what you desire, contact one of our locations today. Call First Start Academy at 601-544-6443 or call Needs 2 Child Care Center at 601-582-2727. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center, a nurturing environment, empowering young minds.
What's good, fam? It's Jonathan Traylor, and you're tuned in to Straight Talk with Riccardo Montgomery.
Do you need embroidered and screen printed apparel for your company? How about a promotional product to help promote your business? Are you looking for a banner for a corporate event? Caps Etc. has it all. Caps Etc. has been serving the Omaha area for over 20 years. Located in Millard for over 10 years, Caps Etc. is family owned and can handle all your business embroidered and promotional product needs. Bring your design to 4871 South 136th Street or call 402-614-3883 and add your logo on a quality item that will set your business above the rest, only at Caps Etc.
You know, I would just say that to me, Mother's Day is just a time for me to reflect on how much God has blessed me with my kids and my mom. I hope that I think about that more often than just Mother's Day, and I know that I do, but Mother's Day is just a time to reflect on, how good God is and how much He's blessed me with.
Welcome back to the show. This segment is brought to you by Elegant Warrior. Go to elegantwarriorinspired.com if you're looking for any kind of gift, a surprise, or if you want it for your mother, or if you want to just surprise the lady in your life to let her know that you see the warrior in her. Please go to elegantwarriorinspired.com. Welcome back. We're here at Divine Truth Christian Bookstore, and it's Mother's Day weekend, and I just want to remind you all, I know we are out trying to get gifts and try to do all these great things for our mothers. Myself, I'm doing the same thing, but let's just remind each other that I think the one thing each mother would like to know is just share that love. Let them know how much you care for them. Let them know what they have done for you in your life. Mother's Day is a very important day, just like Father's Day is. It's to honor those people who have been there for us through the ups and the downs, and always have great advice to get us through obstacles in life, and reminders for the ones who grew up with parents who are in the church and very spiritual, what God can do in your life. I would like to tell you a couple stories, but I don't want to get into those long, drawn-out stories. But I can tell you, my mother has always been there with a word for me. Whenever I'm going through my down moments, even when I'm up on my high moments, when I feel like I'm unstoppable, she always reminds me, God is in control of all things in your life. And if you think that you're doing it, then you got it wrong, son. Give it all to God. Give God the glory for all the great things He is doing in your life, because you will be seeking God when things ain't going the right way. And she was so right, because in my younger days I thought I had it going on, and then God came in and seasons changed, and I was calling on Him more and more and more and more. God fix it, God fix it, God fix it. But during that time I learned that even during your downtime, you still got to give God the glory. And I thank God for my mother to always remind me and keep that word up in me, that God has control of all things. If you give it all to Jesus and you give everything you have to Jesus, then he will direct your path, not you. And sometimes in life, we all do this. We are looking for our own direction. We want to control all the things that happens to us. But then take the time away from Christ that he has set aside for us to just trust him, to give it all to him and let him work it out and guide you in the right direction. So I thank God for all those things, man. I thank Christ for just guiding me in those right directions and doing those things that always keeps me focused on him. So on this Mother's Day, show your love to your mother and just continue to spread love to all the mother figures out there, everyone who has been a mother to you. You know, if you moved away like I did from Mississippi on up to Wisconsin to Nebraska, I always had someone who was always looking out for me. Somebody's mother always took me in and say, hey, I do the same thing just because my son was in far away. I want someone to do that to him or her. And so I just thank God for all those mothers who always looked out for me. And also my sisters who are mothers now. And cousins and everybody else that's out there. So I thank you all for all that you are doing. This is from my heart to you. And we'll be right back with more Straight Talk right after these words from our sponsors.
Do you need embroidered and screen printed apparel for your company? How about a promotional product to help promote your business? Are you looking for a banner for a corporate event? Caps Etc. has it all. Caps Etc. has been serving the Omaha area for over 20 years. Located in Millard for over 10 years, Caps Etc. is family owned and can handle all your business embroidered and promotional product needs. Bring your design to 4871 South 136th Street or call 402-614-3883 and add your logo on a quality item that will set your business above the rest, only at Caps Etc.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful day. Thank you for everything you've done for us. We're here because we are blessed and we are trying to make every day count for you, Father God. Thank you for everything. Amen.
You're listening to Straight Talk with your boy, Riccardo Montgomery. Don't worry. You ain't missed nothing. You just in a commercial break. We'll be right back with more Straight Talk in a minute. Straight Talk with Riccardo Montgomery is taking 2022 by storm.
That's what makes this show great, because we talk about what's real.
Straight Talk is not afraid to take it to the next level by questioning everything in the Bible.
It's a very interesting question, and let me explain it to you this way.
With church leaders.
Preach reconnecting people to Christ.
Discussing real topics that we face daily.
You can't do that without asking a hard-hitting question, right?
You're right, fam. Give your faith walk a boost each Saturday at 6 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Awesome program.
For the Straight Talk with Riccardo Montgomery. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center provides an environment that empowers all young minds to learn, grow, and develop while being in a nurturing environment. Needs 2 have children starting from the age of 6 weeks to 5 years old. First Start Academy also offers an after-school program from ages 6 to 12 years old. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center supports, celebrates, and values each family served and will always be committed to creating lifelong learners to discover their talents and abilities. If affordable, nurturing child care is what you desire, contact one of our locations today. Call First Start Academy at 601-544-6443 or call Needs 2 Child Care Center at 601-582-2727. First Start Academy and Needs 2 Child Care Center, a nurturing environment, empowering young minds. Welcome back to the show, y'all. This segment is brought to you by GoPo Gourmet Popcorn. Down in Fulton, Missouri, if you're looking for some freshly made popcorn, go to the website you see on the screen, GoPo GourmetPopcorn.com. Back with us, y'all, is my guest host today. I'm so excited, man, because he just dropped down those 3 things the seasons that he was preaching on. And Pastor, tell him one more time, just in case somebody's like just joining in the show.
The season of lack, the season of essentials, just having enough, and the season of excess, which is the season of more than enough. Those are the 3 seasons that God has declared and decreed in our lives.
Yes, sir. And sometimes, you know, we're blessed in different areas. But the thing about today's show is that we just want to open up and just have this dialogue, because sometimes we are in different seasons. Sometimes you may be in a valley season. Sometimes you may be in a mountain season. You know, you don't know what your season is, but then you want to make sure that, you know, when God has placed you in a certain season, that's the best season that He wants for you in that moment. And so, just got to understand those seasons. And having a leader like Pastor Stephenson, man, I tell you, it's such a blessing, man, because he just preached on it. Lord blessed me and said, hey, man, I want you to discuss seasons this week, try to help people understand that. And someone, he led me right to you, my brother, so I'm so happy of that, man. God is something else, I tell you.
Yeah. Amen. You know, it is so frustrating for people because, again, as I said, we mark our seasons by time. And it's so frustrating because things don't happen within the time frame that we think. But you hit the nail on the head a while ago when you says, if we can understand we have control of the seasons, we don't determine the seasons, and God determines that. And so the only way we know what season we in is by the occurrence and events in our lives and hearing the voice of God. Hearing the voice of God is pivotal in the season because we walk by faith, not by sight. So we have to hear Him. We get discouraged sometime in our season by what we see. We don't see the manifestation of God. We don't see the move of God in our lives. But it does not mean God's not working, because that is a season where He's building our faith, and we have to exercise our faith, which means to work with the unseen. You've got to learn how to work in the unseen, just like you would do in the seen. So many times I hear people say, man, I can't wait. If God gave me $1 million a day, I would do it A, B, C, D. Well, the truth of it is, God's not going to give you A, B, C, D until you move into what He has for you. You've got to live and work like you already have the million, and then God will allow the million to manifest in your life. And so that's one of the biggest challenges for us, Brother Riccardo.
You know, you're right, because when you say that, people do say that. I mean, like, if I had this, if I had that. And it's always something that's physical or monetary. And it's never the fact that God has blessed you with good health, that He has blessed you with a great family, you know, positive role models, you know, the things that help keep you motivated and push you in the right direction. But let me ask you this, Pastor, because when we talk about seasons, and it's hard for people to understand what season. How do you guide, you know, or individual, or do individuals, when we're going through certain seasons, are we opening up more to discuss with our spiritual leaders or people that we, you know, spiritual leaders, to discuss, you know, understanding these seasons? I mean, because a lot of times these are personal, but just by speaking to you right now, I've learned a lot about, you know, the season that I'm in right now.
Well, you know, I think one of the challenges, I hate to say this, is a lot of times pastors are frustrated with seasons. And if you don't get to a place where you understand really the move of God, you allow seasons to distract you. Now, let me say it like this. In our society, we have 4 seasons. And we live and operate in each of those seasons. We can't just live in summer and waiting for spring. We've got to live, function, and do the assignments necessary in the summer, because that's the season we live in. You know, going into the winter, we prepare to go into the winter because that's a season in our lives, and it requires some functions. And I think the biggest problem with us as people, as pastors, is that we don't realize that the main thing in every season is yet purpose. Are we doing what God called for us to do in that season? And I think we're asking God the wrong thing. We're asking God, when will I get out of this season? Instead of saying, God, what do you want me to do in this season? I've learned that when the season comes to an end, our life comes to an end. And so if you're waiting for the next season, what you're really doing is saying, God, I'm ready to move out of this stage of my life. Because our lives, we only have so much time in this life, man. So I have learned to enjoy the season that God has me in and fulfill his purpose in that season, that I might live the quality of life in that season that he's designed. Because this is the truth. You can live just as well in your season of lack as in your season of more than enough. Y'all didn't hear me, man. God will preserve you, provide for you. You ate just as good in the other season. God made a way for you. But you're looking for the next season, and instead of enjoying and fulfilling the obligation in the season. We don't think about this, but everybody likes to ride on the roller coaster. We like the ups and the downs. Oh man, they so enjoyable. But the thing is, everybody hates to come to the end. It's amazing how we can't wait to hit the hills and ups and downs. And now we're at the end and now we're lost. I encourage everyone, enjoy the ride, enjoy the seasons. You know, whether it's your season of sowing, your season of reaping, your season of building, season of tearing down. I mean, you're going to experience all these different things in your life. But you have to understand that the most important thing is, am I fulfilling the mandate, the assignment, the purpose God has given me? Because that is where the real reward comes from. When we fulfill what God has called us to fulfill, that's when he blesses us. That's when he increases our territory. And I believe some people get stuck in a season. Even though life goes on, I believe they get stuck in a season, Brother Riccardo.
Well, Pastor, I tell you what, man, you had me sitting there, my jaws wide open, sucking in all this information, man. I tell you, it's been a blessing to have you here talking with us today. But you know, I hope that the people that are watching this segment really get a lot out of this, because I really, as an interviewer, or as a person who just, trying to move the show forward, like, I don't have anything else to say behind that, because I mean, there's so much good stuff. As my executive producer just got through screaming back there. If I don't know if y'all heard her, but tell us about Powerhouse. I know Mother's Day is coming up. I'm just going to transition because that's just so good. I just got to transition to something else.
Yeah,
tell us about Powerhouse Ministries and also for you, like what are your plans for Mother's Day?
I plan on enjoying my mother and my wife and my daughters. I'm blessed to have 8 daughters. My mother's still alive, and not to tease, because I still date my mother at times. She lets me know, son, you ain't been to see me, took me out. So I'm still dating my mother. My dad is deceased, so I take care of my mother, and then of course my lovely wife, Don. We're planning on having dinner. But the other thing with Mother's Day is going into Powerhouse. We have a church in Marshall, Missouri, is our home church with all our programming. But the Lord blessed us about 4 years ago to come into Columbia with our food program and our youth program initiatives and our substance abuse and all other programs that we offer to the community to make a difference in the lives of people. But just recently, on Easter Sunday, we launched Powerhouse Columbia. And so we have services in Marshall in the morning at 10:30. And then we have them in Columbia at the Holiday Inn Stadium at 5 p.m. So we'll be doing our second service this Sunday here in Columbia. We're really excited. Our first service, we had over 120 some people out at our opening. And so we're just excited what God is doing and what God's assigned us to do in Columbia. So if you're not doing anything in Columbia, come on out at 5 p.m. on Mother's Day. We've got gifts for all mothers that are in attendance. It's not a long service, but it is a high impact service. We try to give it 75 minutes of high impact worship. And so we hope to be able to have a great day on Sunday and enjoy all mothers.
And you know, I like to move to Columbia because it's also a part of the season that we're talking about. I mean,
Yes,
'cause
sir.
like you said, you're in Marshall, Missouri, and the Lord, opened up a new season for you to come to Columbia. So, can you explain that real quick? Like,
Yeah,
why
man,
did you come to
Ricardo, man,
Columbia?
you all in my business, man. Man, my father pastored in the Slater and Marshall area, and after he died, about 2 years later, God had put it in my spirit to come home and take over the ministry. But it was the ministry fulfilling the vision that he had gave my father to regrow churches and ministry. Never did I realize that we would do all the outreach that was a part of it. And so in that season, I came there, but God gave me outreach. While everybody else were building churches, I was doing outreach. I didn't understand it. So many times the model we've seen is build a church and start outreach. But what God gave me was do the outreach, do the community work, serve the people, reach the people, meet the needs of the people. And out of that, I'll build and grow a church. And so that is what has happened. It's been remarkable, this new model that God has given us, outreach produces church. And so as I finished up the season of my father's work in Marshall, even though I still got the church there, I've got a co-pastor that I'm grooming to be able to do more things there. It was my season, and God had promised me. I came from Olathe, and God promised me once I finished this work up that He would allow me to go back to Olathe, wherever the next move was. And so, in this process, as I got ready, thinking about Olathe, God began to open up the door of Columbia. And as He opened up the door of Columbia, I knew that was actually He wanted me to go back to Olathe, going to Columbia. So we came into Columbia about 4 years ago with outreach, with our food programs and summer food feeding over 2,500 kids a day. We came here with our substance abuse and treatment, our father initiatives in the drug court and family court. We led the nation since we've been down there in success rates with Afro-Americans minority graduating drug court. We took it from 9% up to 88% success rates. So I've been all over the news in Columbia of the great outreach work. They knew I was a pastor. I said, "Where's your church?" I said, "Marshall." And for 4 years, people said, "When are you going to plant a church here?" So God has been grooming and preparing. And in this season, God said, "It's time. You finished that work. There's still a lot of work going on there, but it's your time to begin to build in Columbia." And God has been so gracious. And I knew it was a time because He made a way and brought forth provision. And sometimes we don't want to wait on God's provision. Sometimes we want to move ahead of God. I knew God had spoke this over 4 years ago, but it wasn't the right time. But when God says it's time, He'll bring forth provision. And in this season, I want to say this about this season. You have to understand God, because it's the season, because when the period of wait shrinks, ooh, I just said something. When the period of wait sinks, it used to be when God gave me something, I knew it was the waiting season because it took 2 to 3 years before He told me what I was waiting for to manifest. But in the season of more than enough, I speak what I don't have. Guess what? Within 24 to 48 hours, it manifests, because I'm in the season of manifestation. I'm not in the season of wait. It's already manifested. I just got to go get it. I've just got to grab access to it. And so I know I'm in the right season because the things that I need appear almost immediately. And it's just amazing, Brother Ricardo. I'm still learning. I don't want to act like I've got the seasons mastered, but what I do know is that I have mastered the seasons I've been in. And so I've learned in this season, and I want to say this, I learned this season, the season of trust. Trust is different than faith. You see, faith and hope produces something. You don't see it, but you have the faith that's going to be produced. Once it's manifest, it can be an idea in your head, a blueprint. And then once it's produced, you got it now. Now you got to trust that thing that you was produced by faith. And so I'm in my trusting season, because the enemy, he's going to talk to you just like God's talking to you in each season. In the season of lack of just enough, the enemy said, "You ain't ever going to make it. You ain't going to get it." And then once you get there, you know what he tells you, Brother Ricardo? You ain't going to keep it. You can't maintain it. You can't sustain it. And so the enemy's still speaking, but God is, I see my manifestation. You can't tell me it's not there now. You can't play with my mind, enemy, because it's manifested. And God built this thing, and He will sustain what He created, man. And so that's how I got to Columbia. We're excited to be down here, man. The people are great. Every day I'm getting calls. Every day, wonderful thing happening. I wake up with great expectations of what God's going to do today, man.
Hey, I can tell you're excited because I can see the movements in you. Uh, hey, it's like fire up in you when you talk about
Man, I tell you.
the season. But you know what though, it's such a blessing because for you to be able to just say like that season and how you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we as we discuss the season, you know, people don't think pastors go through seasons. They don't think that
Oh my
pastors
God.
need to have that patience. They don't think that. And then, you know, you just talking about how the Lord you wanted to do it in your time, but God was like, nope, and you paid attention and you listened to the Lord. And me myself, I do the same thing. Sometimes the things I want to go do, and I'm like, man, God, whoo. Prime example, that concert I put on. I
Yes.
wanted to do that in 2021, and you know, the Lord was like, no, wait one more year, and then I was like, oh, whew. But hey, I'm so thankful I did because it opened up a lot
Yeah.
of doors. I got
Definitely.
to meet you, and I got to meet you know, a whole bunch of other people. So I just thank God. If you do things in God's seasons, then good things will always happen. You know, as I
Amen.
like to say,
Amen.
like my favorite Bible verse: if you put the kingdom first, everything else will be added to you. So you just gotta.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you gotta wait.
Amen.
As the
Amen.
songwriter said, you gotta wait on the Lord.
It's gotta wait.
Well,
You
Pastor
can't
man, thank
hurry
you
God.
so much for coming on. How can people get to you? How can people see you online if they want to watch you online in Omaha, or if they want to watch you online in Kansas
You
City?
can go to our website, our Facebook page, www. I think it's PWRHouse Ministries.org. Is our website. You can go on there, or I think our same thing with our Facebook. I think it's I'm not real good with those things, but it's still we abbreviate Power PWR House Ministries, and most of those on any of those that get you there.
All right, y'all. Pastor Charles Stephenson Jr. hanging out with us on Straight Talk, man. It's such a blessing to have you. We appreciate you. And anytime you want to come back, please let me know. We'll have you back on, man. Such a blessed time, man.
Hey man, I feel the same way. Man, this was such a great moment, great morning to talk about the blessings and the move of God. I just want to say this in my party. People, be encouraged. God is faithful. He's going to perform that he said he is. If you just stay steadfast, unmovable, and keep doing what God, listening to the voice of God, walking in faith and trust inside, God will bless your manifestation to appear. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing when God perform what he says he's going to perform. Don't allow the challenge of time, your timetable, to discourage you or frustrate you and keep you from reaching your promise and your destination. And so I just want to encourage you. God is faithful.
We're back here at Divine Truth Christian Bookstore, getting ready to wrap the show up. I hope the words that you heard today from Pastor Stevenson and my new friend here at the Divine Truth Christian Bookstore blessed you in a mighty way for this Mother's Day. I tell y'all, man, she said some good stuff there, and I can't wait. Can't wait to love on my wife and love on my moms, all my moms, and love on everybody out there. So y'all just continue to show love, spread love in our world today, because we all need a little extra love. And they got some announcements coming up soon. Some bigs coming up for Straight Talk. We're going to be working on a huge deal that's going to really change the landscape of gospel music right here in Omaha. So we're looking forward to bringing that to you real soon. So y'all stay attuned to that. Thanks to all the sponsors. Thanks to everybody who's been a part of the show. And we'll see y'all next week right here at Divine Truth Christian Bookstore for Straight Talk. It's your boy, Riccardo Montgomery. Peace.
Come on, relax and just enjoy the show. We got you here on Straight Talk.